So you guys cleared over 100 grand, 100, 150 somewhere in there when it was all said and done, everything shook out.
Yeah. We had a lot of holding costs and things. So it was a little over 100, but it was great. I mean, it worked out great. We were happy with it.
Heck yeah. And you had fun in the process. You found the house you wanted. I mean, that's great.
Yeah. I wish those would come along every week, right?
Right. Exactly. That's why this is the best deal ever show, because there's only a handful of these.
Right.
They're the unicorns. Welcome to the BiggerPockets Best Deal Ever show. I'm your lovable host, Ken Corsini, who with my wife, Anita, have flipped over 800 houses in Atlanta since 2005 and even have a show on HGTV. But this show isn't about us. It's about all the amazing real estate investors out there that are crushing it. It's about their stories, their best deals, how they sourced them, how they funded them, and what we can learn from their experiences. This is the Best Deal Ever show. Hey, this is Ken Corsini with the Best Deal Ever show. On today's episode, I am joined by my good friends, Doug and Andrea Van Soest. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. Good to see you guys as well. I guess we just missed each other last month in San Diego, unfortunately. We were just digging and zagging and just missed each other.
Yeah.
It's a collective genius. It's gotten pretty big too. A lot of people there, so it's easy to miss someone.
Yeah, it's a pretty big mastermind. Yeah, but luckily you guys aren't far from where we were in San Diego. Tell people where you guys are from.
We live in Murrieta, which is about an hour north of San Diego. So we're in Riverside County, but really an hour from central LA, Orange County, and an hour from San Diego. It's kind of a nice location. You know,
and I've heard, it's funny, so many people aren't even familiar with Riverside County, but like in terms of population, it's like one of the most populated areas in the country too, isn't it? It's not LA County, but it's just, like how many people are in your county?
They call it the Inland Empire because it really is. I mean, I think there's somewhere between 4 and 5 million people, depending on what cities you actually count in the Inland Empire. There's a lot of people.
That's crazy. And that's not counting LA.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's probably 100 miles from LA, but it's all city, freeways and city. I mean, it all kind of runs together.
Does it? Yeah. So how long have you guys been full-time at real estate?
I've been doing this for about 11 years now.
Wow.
Prior to that, Doug was an appraiser. He was an appraiser for 4 or 5 years before we became investors.
Yeah, 4 or 5, maybe longer than that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess you guys then were able to buy during the downturn. Is that sort of what launched your business?
Yeah.
That launched our business. We were able to start buying because we just felt completely priced out. We had started to kind of learn about real estate investing as it was in the peak here, 03, 04, 05. Just felt like we couldn't, there was nothing we could do. Everything was so high. And then in 08, when everything crashed, we went full board trying to buy our first property.
It took a lot of patience to wait, but I'm glad we did.
Oh my gosh. Think of all the people in California that didn't wait and bought at the height. They got crushed.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys were picking up properties. I remember we've talked before, like really, really good prices and built a pretty nice portfolio, especially for California. Not many people have a California portfolio, right?
Especially in the Inland Empire, they dropped 50 to 60%, most of them, the older properties. And, little did we know that it would double and triple after that. I mean, at the time, everyone was scared to death of real estate. Nobody wanted to touch it.
Right.
But fortunately, we were able to hold on to as many as we could. And we have a nice rental portfolio now, and we're grateful for that.
That's amazing. So what does your day-to-day business look like now?
Oh, man. Every day is different. But, we still fix and flip, wholesale, and look for rentals. Those 3 things we still do.
We're buying less and less rentals now, of course, but we do still get the occasional one.
Do you really? So you can still buy houses in there. And what's the price point for a rental for you guys now out there?
So now there's certain communities that we try to buy in like the low 100,000 range that will maybe need a little bit of fix-ups on older properties, say built in the 50s, 60s, and we'll rent for, $1,300, $1,400 if we're lucky. So the numbers still work.
Wow. I'm just surprised. You're far enough inland. I just assume Southern California, there's no way you're going to find something in the hundreds, but they're still out there.
That 100,000 purchase for us might be worth, 190, 200,000 retail.
Sure.
At the crash, it was probably 65.
Wow.
So, yeah. That's
amazing. And so, if you're getting 13, you're still kind of hitting that 1%, price to rent ratio.
Yeah, it's harder to find for sure, but that's still our target.
Wow, that's amazing. And what does your rental portfolio look like now? What are you guys up to?
50, 55, 52 properties. We sell a couple here and there when we feel like it's time, and we buy a few every year, so it's somewhere in the low 50s.
Which is amazing for That's crazy for Southern California. And I guess you're looking at all this equity building in some of these houses. You're like, do we sell one, make double what we paid for it 5-6 years ago?
Yeah, we have that conversation every other day.
Yeah, right? Do you just cash out and call it done too? At some point, right? We're out of here.
It's such hard work to get to this point, so I don't think we will actually do that. A lot of, we watch a lot of other investors go through the downturn, and the ones who survived it without a lot of stress were the ones that hung on to their good cash flowing rentals and didn't sell them at the peak.
Yeah.
So
true.
And our goal from the beginning was cash flow. So we try to keep that in mind. Like, hey, we wanted a monthly income that we don't have to work too hard for. That's going to pay the rest of our life. So
right.
We don't want to lose sight of that either.
Yeah. Smart. Well, so you guys have been at this a long time. I'm sure one of those deals over the last 11 years stands out as your best deal ever. Let's hear about it.
Most recently, we just finished, I guess, middle of last year, a project in Palm Springs.
And this house we considered it our best because it was a fun project to do, but because of the inventory, it was a mid-century modern home. And if you're not familiar with that, just think Rat Pack, back in the day with the real modern. That's the type of property that sells for the most when it's rehabbed like that.
So we've got some buddies, the Desert Flippers, Eric and Lindsay, that live in Palm Springs. Yeah. And that's like, if you've ever watched their show, they do a ton of the mid-century modern in Palm Springs. So something like that, I guess you could picture.
Yeah. So the area it's right for that type of product, and everybody wants that type of house there. And this one had a great spread on it, good numbers. And so that it became we consider that our best deal. So
let's talk about how you found a deal all the way up in Palm Springs.
Well, we got a call from a mailer, and it was actually an owner-occupied property. Owners lived there. They had this house. It was built in the late 60s, so it's kind of on the later end of what's considered mid-century modern.
We've done a lot of projects in Palm Springs, actually, but we specifically were wanting to do a mid-century modern. So we sent out a mailer specifically looking for kind of that age range.
That's pretty cool. I see, because it's not like you can buy a list and have the style of the house. You guys just sort of targeted the year.
Yeah,
targeted the year. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. It was owner-occ. So are you looking for like an equity, so many years in the residence and so much equity, or how did you guys target it?
We just targeted based on equity and based on year built, and also square footage. We didn't want something that was, too large. We wanted a smaller home, like under 2,500 square feet.
Gotcha.
So we sent to owner-occ, absentee owner, all of it. And these people called, and they just happened to be getting ready to be empty nesters. Their kids had gone off to, their lives, and they felt this house was too big and they were going to downsize, and it hadn't been updated, in a long time. Maybe in the 80s it was renovated at one time.
Unfortunately, a lot of its original character was gone because they did renovate it.
So when you have a 60s built house with an 80s renovation in a Palm Springs market, that just, you're not going to get top dollar for that.
And they knew that, they knew that.
So did you have to do some negotiating with them? What did they want for the house? What did you guys ultimately get it for?
My acquisition manager actually locked up the deal, and I don't know the specifics of what they were asking for. I just know that what we offered, they took, and it was $357 at the time.
Okay. And that was last year.
That was in 2018.
Oh, 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. 2018.
Gotcha. I mean, that still seems like I don't know what the market is in Palm Springs, but I would figure $357 even for a fixer up. That's probably a pretty darn good acquisition price.
Even as is at that time, it was probably worth, mid fours, maybe. Yeah. It's hard to say of a house like that.
Right.
Because it really had some challenges. It had no pool, which is a big deal in Palm Springs.
Okay.
Like I said, it needed a rehab for sure. And those rehabs are not cheap to get it that way.
Yeah.
So, $357 was our offer. They took it. I was kind of surprised because I felt they gave us a really fair deal.
Yeah.
I think a part of it too was that they wanted a rent back, and we were willing to work with them. So I think we checked all the boxes of like what would make it super easy for them.
Totally. Yeah. So they basically had just become empty nesters, but they weren't ready to leave. They knew they wanted to sell their house. So how long did you guys end up renting the house back to them for?
I think it was 60 days.
Yeah.
I think it was two months. Yeah. So then have time to I think they were getting an apartment.
Okay.
And they were took time to move out. They didn't want to hassle with selling it through their an agent and have all the showings and all that kind of hassle. So that's obviously works in our benefit.
Absolutely. So you basically buy it, and then did they for the most part cover your mortgage, or maybe a little slightly less? How did you fund it? I guess we should ask you that. How did you guys?
We funded it with private lender.
Okay.
So we funded it with purchase price plus our estimated rehab. So we borrowed over and above what it costs to buy the home.
Gotcha.
And as far as the rent, I can't remember. I think we just charged them a fair market rent, which at the time is probably like $1,500 for that house. It's not a super high rent for a home like that.
Yeah, that seems low. So you're taking a slight negative for the 2 months while you're waiting for them to get out, but whatever, you just build that into your numbers. You got a good enough price.
We knew there's enough spread in this one that it was going to be worth it.
Yeah. So just curious, how do you structure your notes with your private lenders?
It's all a little different. Depends on the lender. Some are, what we typically do is we let the interest accrue and we don't pay them until the house is sold. So we don't have a monthly recurring payment with our private lenders.
Right. The balloon note on the end. That's for any of you folks that are trying to figure out how to put together some private lending. I highly recommend doing a balloon. Let the interest accrue and pay it when you sell it.
Yeah, it's just simpler. And these are all people who trust us. It wasn't like a first time lender. I mean, they've worked with us. They know our numbers. We send them the deal, the comps, all the pictures, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And so that's how it worked.
And what's the normal range that you guys typically pay your lenders?
It ranges between 7 and 9% right now. I think this one a couple of years ago was probably about 8 or 9%.
Okay, which is still really good. A lot of people pay more than that. And I'm assuming no points or anything like that, just accrued interest.
No points. Yeah, just straight interest.
Nice. Yeah. And then how much did you guys end up borrowing for the repairs?
So we targeted $130,000 on this one.
Wow, that's a big
one. Well, a big chunk of that was, which was one of the challenges, was the pool. We were going to put in a pool.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
First time we'd ever done that. And still the only time we've ever put in a pool on a rehab.
It's the only market where it makes sense, where you do get that back and then some.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so, but it's really a necessity in Palm Springs.
Yeah, it is.
I've been in Palm Springs once, and it was like the hottest place I've ever been in my life. So I can actually understand, like, you definitely have to have a pool in the backyard. I guess every house has a pool there for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It probably adds $150,000 to your value, give or take. In the neighborhood. This neighborhood, it was definitely that.
Wow.
Yeah, so we knew it'd be worth it.
So what sort of renovations did you guys do?
Pretty much everything. The exterior needed like major love. The inside, we didn't move walls around or anything. Structurally, it was a great layout for what people would want in MidCentury Modern.
Nice.
I think we removed a couple little pony walls and stuff like that.
Yep.
But gutted the kitchen, put it back to just something that would be more of an updated MidCentury Modern, I guess you could say.
Right.
A little bit Scandinavian. I like to just make it fun and have fun with it. So it's kind of my own little spin on MidCentury Modern, I guess.
Oh, cool.
We made the bathrooms really fun and funky, especially the little hall bath.
Yep.
Because people love that. That's what I love about Palm Springs, is that you can be a little bit weird and fun, and it's appreciated.
You get rewarded for that, whereas you maybe more of a risk in a market where you're trying to be more vanilla.
Yeah.
Right.
And is that kind of partly why you guys wanted to do a MidCentury Modern?
Yes.
To begin with? That's very cool.
Way more fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, you can spread your wings a little bit on the design.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the surfaces got touched in that house. It did have good bones. Like I said, it had a good roof, so that was nice. Didn't really have to do anything there.
Nice.
But the backyard was, completely put in the pool and the desert landscaping and the a hot tub as well.
Nice. So what does that run to put in a pool out there?
We didn't know. So I think it ended up running us only about $55,000 to do that, which was on the low end of a pool.
Yeah, it's not huge, but yeah.
They can cool off. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Right. No waterfalls or craziness. They want it kind of sleek, modern, simple. Cool.
Yeah. Nice. So did you hit your budget? You guys had budgeted 130. Did you guys get it done for about 130?
We did not.
No, we didn't.
That's good. You're par for the course then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we ended up being around 150.
Okay.
But we did have a contractor issue.
Yeah, a slight hiccup.
Really?
The contractors that we had normally used in that area in the past were all so busy at that time. We couldn't get anybody that we had worked with before. We actually had another huge one going on in the desert. So we hired a new contractor we had never worked with before and gave him 2 big jobs.
Yeah.
Not a great idea.
Yeah.
Great guy, great work, but slow as molasses.
So slow.
Ooh.
So right in the middle, we had to, a little bit past the middle, I guess, we had to pull him off and basically beg our contractor from our local area to go out there and finish it out for us, which he did.
And I feel like whenever we've had to do that, we still end up paying a little bit more. It's like you always paid that first guy a little too much, probably more than he deserves, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And he was still working on our other project, and he actually finished that one for us. It took forever.
Yeah.
So we also didn't want to burn any relationship there, so we just kind of gently pulled him off of the one and probably paid him a little too much for it.
So how many months did you guys end up doing the rehab for?
About 5 or 6 months.
5 to 6 months. Yeah.
And you had owned it for 2 months prior to starting the rehab, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It was a pretty long
time.
It
wasn't a quick turnaround by any means. But the timing actually worked out great because the main selling season in the desert is winter.
Yes, we weren't in a rush actually to finish it quickly because we wanted to list it right at that appropriate time.
Yeah, we wanted to list in January. January to May is kind of the hot selling time. You have a lot of Canadians that come down.
Sure.
Things like that. So it's reverse of most markets.
Right. That's so interesting. Yeah. So January, I mean, yeah, I totally get that. People want to be in Palm Springs.
Right.
Yep. January. So what did you guys sell it for?
So we sold it for $672,000.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it sold within a week. We listed at $675,000. We took an offer at $675,000. We ended up giving them a credit in there at some point for $3,000 for something.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you got full asking basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do anything special or just throw it on MLS?
I staged it intentionally with the hope that somebody would buy the furniture.
Yeah.
And they bought most of it.
Yeah.
We got really great photography by a photographer that's pretty well known in Southern California. I feel like that was wise. It ended up getting featured in Domino magazine on their online. So that was good.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know that it sell, but people like those kinds of things.
Well, the design was incredible. Andrea is the designer. She did it. You have to have that in order to get the top retail price in that area.
Right.
And we had a few offers actually, and we ended up going with the strongest one. I think it was cash, all cash offer, $672,000.
Oh man.
I think they closed in 2 weeks. I mean, it worked on the selling side, worked out great.
Yeah. Now, are either of you licensed agents that you can list your own, or do you have to use an agent?
I am a licensed agent. We actually don't list our own anymore. We have a great setup with another agent in town who we kind of share some leads with.
Okay.
When it works out, and he is listing our properties for free at the moment. I can't remember if he listed that one or if I did.
I don't remember either. A couple years ago, I don't recall. I think he listed it for us, but I'm not positive on that.
Yeah.
And so you don't pay him any commission on the listing side?
Yeah, but he's gotten a lot
commission.
of. He loves to list our houses because they sell easy and bring him more business. So.
He gets leads. I mean, agents should absolutely be willing to do that because do the open houses, let a bunch of buyers come through the house, and absolutely, you should be able to pick up one or two clients just by listing the house.
And we'll refer him leads on other properties we aren't able to buy. We'll refer him leads, so he'll get leads that way, and so they take care of us. It works pretty well.
That's a great arrangement. So you guys cleared over $100,000, 100, 150 somewhere in there when it was all said and done. Everything shook out.
Yeah. We had a lot of holding costs and things, so it was a little over 100, but it was great. I mean, it worked out great. We were happy with it.
Heck yeah. And you had fun in the process. You found the house you wanted. I mean, that's great.
Yeah. I wish those would come along every week, right?
Right. Exactly. That's why this is the best deal ever show, because there's only a handful of these.
Right.
They're the unicorns. Well, so what's the takeaway? What did you guys, after you went through this experiment, what did you learn through it?
A couple things. One is that I think your marketing can keep working for you for a long time after you sent it out there, whether it's a mailer or SEO on your website. You just never know. Like these people called us 2 years after receiving only one mailer.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
2 years.
We originally sent that letter in 2016. And like she mentioned, we only sent one letter for that specific campaign.
Right.
Looking for a MidCentury Modern, kind of abandoned it after that for some reason. And 2 years later, they called us and they held on to our letter. I don't know where they kept it, but they held on to it.
Do you guys get different phone numbers for different campaigns, or do you kind of use the same number?
We do. We have different phone numbers for different campaigns. That's why we were able to track where that came from.
Gotcha. And so the lesson there is, it's funny, like in an old campaign, don't shut down those phone numbers, right?
Right.
You got to keep paying for them.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Because and it's not the first time that's happened to us. I mean, you'll get calls sometimes 2, 3, 4 years later from somebody that put that postcard on their fridge, and when it's time, they'll call you. Yeah. So it's worth the pennies for a month to save that phone number.
It's funny because I've bought phone numbers through different services like Call 8 and Ring Central and Call Rail. And like, I can't get rid of all these accounts because what if that call comes in? So I got all these stupid accounts. That's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
That is such a good takeaway, though. I mean, you can't assume that a mailing campaign was successful or not unless you've given it a lot of time, because these types of leads can come in even 2 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fantastic. Well, what an awesome flip, guys. Super appreciate you guys coming on. Lots of good lessons from this, and happy for you guys. Made over $100,000 on a fun house. So thanks so much for coming on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having us, Ken. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. Thanks for listening to the Best Deal Ever show, brought to you by BiggerPockets. If you've been energized, entertained, or enlightened by today's show, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Ken Corsini, or check us out online at redbarnhomes.com. And don't forget, one man's best deal ever may be the inspiration you need to create your next best deal. So, hope to see you on the next episode.